Happy Wednesday, everyone. This is Crypto and Coffee with the Trading Bros, and I'm your host, Clutch Crypto.
And I'm Davey Wellington.
And man, did we see some movement to the downside, and did we have that call right down to the nail? Let's see what's going to happen today. So we're going to dive straight into the charts and get right to it.
Yeah, so we always start off with the daily, and it probably looks a little bit different today. I tried to clean it up as much as possible, even though there's still a lot of lines on it. But essentially, we've got this, this channel on the daily that we've been working. And so this line was drawn here. This was the original line we've always talked about that it kind of broke through. And, this is the initial, the other trend line that, it's kind of been on, since it developed the base, a few months, a few weeks ago, really. And so we've had this aggressive pump to the upside. We've had some good volume that's, come on the daily, which we were looking for in order to really solidify the fact that we're going up. I would say that most of this move to the upside, because of these, vector type high volume areas, I would say that those are short squeeze liquidity pools that, have been initiated by, kind of institutions grabbing that liquidity. As we got up to this top line, and mind you, we haven't moved this line since the beginning. This hasn't been moved at all. We bounced off of that trend line. So that just kind of tells you from a technical TA perspective, technical analysis perspective, folks are paying attention to that line. And so, if we start to play with that line and get over it, you'll find breakout traders, but you'll also see, a lot of shorts that have come off of this. And of course, it has responded to that, and we've gone to the downside. What I like to look at on this is a couple of things. One, we're kind of still in these low volume nodes. If you look at this kind of higher volume node here, this is kind of jutting out. They tend to come to these areas and range in these areas. So as we move to the downside, we've got the 200 EMA and the 50 EMA in here as well. I would anticipate that we, kind of settle in here before we start to make a decision to move back to the upside, if that's, what it chooses to do. Either create an M up here or, this retrace and then you break this zone here to break out of that. So, but we are at the top of the zone. The first time we hit it, not the first time, it's actually the second time. The second time hitting it off of this channel, and potentially we could, see us come back here, bounce, like I mentioned, bounce off that 200 and come back up. So on the hourly, we're looking at the hourly, I've got these zones that are kind of marked off. This zone here was just placed here because of the vector candles and the liquidity, that's over there. This is just a, where that low volume node is. So if it does start to break into this area, I would anticipate that we break all the way down to this 800 EMA on the 1 hour, which would give us, we would be in the kind of that 3110 area.
That closes the CME gap that didn't get closed a week from Friday.
Exactly. So the fact that we haven't bounced from this, because normally, you'll get some bounces off of that 200, pretty early. But here, we've just kind of extended to the downside. We had this wick. We recovered at that wick kind of this morning in the European session, and it's dragging the 50 EMA down. And so, we anticipate having this cross and having another, little dump to the downside. Now, whether or not this drags all the way down to the X, that's something that, I think we're, a few days, if not a week, away from, relative to knowing that piece of it. On the 5 minute, again, not, from a shorter term perspective, we do have daily open to the upside, which is something that, there's a lot of orders that rest there. And so there may be some liquidity up there. I know there are a lot of shorts that are starting to open just from looking at the OI from earlier. But you also have some folks that are buying the dip. One of the things we always look at is say, hey, the shorts are building, it's probably going to come back up. But, they did let the longs build for a while. So they may take advantage of that. It is Wednesday. I had to make sure. And so
it is Wednesday.
We've got FOMC minutes that are coming out that we'll look at, and so this may be a move before that. My initial thought was this. They always try to stay within a range, and so we still stayed in that range, which you could kind of see here. I mean, we've been in this range for quite a bit of time. This is just that last peak that from here that we'll look to break, and that will if we've got a lot trapped here, then potentially you can see a retrace from that, and then a continuation to the downside if we break that. Otherwise, we'll kind of have a swing failure pattern like we had up here in this area. But this this was really trappy. This looks more legitimate of a move. So what I would anticipate is us to kind of probably it being the minutes coming out, I believe this afternoon, we can take a look. I think we're going to range until some of those headlines start to come out. Since we've had this downside, the reversal would be back up to the daily open, right? And then we've got Thursday probably range in, Friday come back down and bring that back out. I mean, that would be kind of the game plan I would be looking at. We just have to see how all that develops. You got anything to add to that, Clutch, on the actual charts themselves?
No, I just want to state that I've been in this short since Friday.
Swing, baby, swing.
Man, look at that.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Let me refresh. Yeah, so we've got, that's refresh. So that's funding rates. So all short term is going to be on the negative side. And then you're predicted, mostly on the positive. So we'll see how, I think High Block and Bookmap will tell us more relative to the liquidity that's out there.
I think they're going to tell you the same thing that you've already told the whole world.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, we have OI, which, 7.3 billion. I think we're at 6.6 billion. So we built, and then we've taken away some, as well. So the beginning of the week we're 6.6. So we've built this, and they've taken all this liquidity out of the market, but it's still actually fairly high, and that remaining liquidity could be shorts. So it's just a matter of seeing kind of what that looks like. Oh, so what else we got here? Let me move this down here. It's a little easier. Market Insider, we check this to check the market. Here we are. This is the macro environment. This was the news headlines. Yesterday was that the U.S. is blocking, the Central Bank of Russia from making payments, $650 million bond payment, which the whole thing is for them to lose their credit rating and all of that. But if
Russia's going to get out of this shit scot and free, dude.
I mean, if you're preventing, I mean, does the credit agency, which most of them, are you taking in the fact that Russia has the ability to pay, but they're being blocked by, a mechanism, right? And they're offering to pay in other, like, I know the credit ratings, all the global and all the how that works, and them being a, kind of a rogue nation right now that, you can. But I mean, the credit agency is sitting there. I mean, if they're, I don't know, man.
This is just a narrative, man. This is just a narrative.
Ability to buy Russian bonds, I don't know if that'd be a bad investment right now, being in the fact that they're just accumulating, and they have I think they have the upper hand, at least at this point in time, relative to the commodities.
Yeah, because think about it, like we've been talking about the commodities here. Russia has every major commodity that is used worldwide, and a lot of countries, including the United States, are kind of dependent on this, and they kind of hold the key. So I really think the narrative here is just to drive and kind of clear out and clean out liquidity in the stock markets, per se, because of the inflation prices. And this is ironically the way that the world is trying to clear out the liquidity.
I was listening to a podcast with Lynn Alden, and she's a pretty good, she's kind of the most popular macroeconomist right now. And part of the conversation was, China's looking. You talk about Russia having, a lot of, the commodities. China's got the rest of them. You know what I'm saying? And now China's sitting there watching what the U.S. is doing to Russia, and what Russia and China are or have are hard assets, right? Like the things that people use and the building blocks for all the things that, I won't say all, but a good majority of the things that we do. And, the U.S., we've built a lot of the financial system off the credit system, which, really doesn't have a lot of hard assets outside the fact that the dollar's been, kind of that, harder assets that are being forced to being used. And so if that goes away, and those commodity prices start to go up. So if you got commodity prices going up and dollar values going down, that's going to be tough overall for the global economy. But if China decides to get on board with Russia, I mean, it's going to be a shitstorm because Europe basically is dealing with. I mean, I sent you that article this morning about the potash or the potash. We've been having that conversation as well, but they're going to restrict Russian potash. I mean, then you're exasperating that the food crisis and everything else. But anyway,
crazy times.
So if we go back to the calendar, we've mentioned that it's Wednesday. There's not a lot going on outside of the FOMC meetings. That minutes are going to be released around 2 p.m. And so
be paying attention around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, kind of see what the market's doing because they're going to be releasing this shit.
There's going to be some activity. I mean, there's always activity at the close, but before the close for the setup, moving into the weekend. So it's going to be a tricky day. I would say, I know you're already in the trade but for those that are not, I would wait till after 2 p.m. to see kind of what the true move is after all the, the fuckery happens before the minutes come out. So just looking at this is exo charts. And so, again, this is Bybit. We've been looking at Binance in the past, so we're going to switch it up, look at Bybit. Binance is a lot more aggressive and transparent. Their POC is already up to 33.97, and this is almost a day and a half's worth of data. And so the big things are, they're moving through these lower, I keep saying lower volume nodes, but these lower nodes here. And, earlier we kind of crashed through that and got here and we kind of moved back up a little bit. But if we start breaking that 32.49, this kind of the area that we were talking about on the charts here, I mean, you can just see that, it's very thin coming into these areas and they tend to, move pretty quickly through these areas. So I believe probably if I was to compare this on the chart, there's probably some additional vector candles that are in this area as well. So, if we do start moving to the downside and kind of break, below these particular areas, imagine that we would probably end up right where we talked about, which is that, 31.24, 31.10, which is right around that CME zone as we talked about earlier. Shorts, here if we look at exo charts on the Bybit side, are starting to increase, but overall, yeah, I mean they're really starting to increase. So longs are taking off. So I'd imagine that they would try to pop these, but when they do it, we don't know. So that's part of the deal. So that's all I got on my end. Let's hop in the high block. What you got, Clutch?
Let's check it out. Let's see. Share my screen. There we go. Oh, yeah, that's just what I want to show. All right. Let me know when you can see it. Waiting.
it says Zoom quit unexpectedly. I wonder why it says that.
Dude, it does this every time we switch sharing screens, it seems like. We might have to find a different platform.
Zoomy boom boom. We can't do it directly through the app.
I mean, everyone can see it. Can you see it?
It says Zoom quit unexpectedly. But your screen is to the right. Like I can see the left hand of your screen. The left side of your screen shows up on the right side of my screen. So it's like you have two screens open.
I do.
Or it's not centered. So I can see that you have ETH in the first tab, high block in the second, EXO. I can see like the left side of your screen. So I can see your mouse moving to the right side of my screen, left side of your screen. So it's almost like you have to move your screen over.
Oh no, like it's right.
Right,
Here, let's do this. I want to stop sharing, and then
there you go. Okay. Start sharing
and
again.
then we'll try it again. No?
There it is. But it says the same message. Send the Zoom, don't send.
But you can see it? Yeah. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, I'm here now.
Alright. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Alright. This is ETH finance chart. This is our high block that we look at on a daily basis. This has all the long and short liquidations. As you can see, we were up here in this area yesterday, folks, with a positive 3.2 billion in cumulative liquidation deltas. As you can see, we've tapered off down here to the negative side, and we're currently negative 6 billion on the liquidations. And as you can see, basically with us shorting, all we've done is create a bunch of short liquidations above us. This is typically the cycle. And as you can see, we don't have much left below us. We are targeting 31, what was it, 31.25 for the CME
Yeah,
gap.
somewhere around there. Yeah.
As you can see, we do have a $28 million liquidation down here at 31.56. So us getting down there, honestly, is probably pretty probable, because what happens when we get down into this range is and start working this area, more of these start kind of popping up until we actually do the flip and start heading up to the upside. So when will that happen? Not sure. We do have a 777 short liquidations and only 163 long liquidations left. But we're definitely going to come down here and at least get the 100x liquidations. We always do that, and that's all the way down here to, let's see here, let's find one of these, 32.55. That's really close to that wick that we had that happened yesterday, late evening. If we break below that, we also have a new lower low. And typically when we have new lower lows, because we're kind of forming a W right now on the lower time frames, so you want to remember that second leg needs to be higher than the first leg, because if it's opposite, then that's an invalid W. So you can, if that does happen, you know, sometimes some trickery happens, fuckery we call it, whatever you want to call that, because so maybe they do the fake W and then pump and people start, oh, I'm on board only, and you know that's the trap setup. So pay really close attention to that. Again, 32.50. We get past 32.50 this morning or later today, I would highly expect continuation further down to the downside, and we do have kind of a cluster area from looking at the charts down in that range for a consolidation stage. So that's kind of what I think is going to happen today. But again, let's slide over here to Bookmap and kind of see what Bookmap's telling us, because this is order flow. This is where we're at right now. We're about to open here in 8 minutes. And as you can see here, guys, we do not have anything significant above us at this point in the morning. But what we do have is everything's just kind of stopped. Nothing's really going on right now. We're just kind of hanging out. But as you can see, these bids right here, the green, these are orders to the downside, and then the red are orders to the upside. So as you can see, we're very heavily weighted to the downside. CVD did kind of come into the negative area, and CVD also crossed back up above the difference. So that's this is kind of flashing a signal to me that we might see some moves to the upside. Again, we're getting close to the open right now, so a lot of times New York likes to kind of come out and do a quick move one direction or the other, only to come back and trade into the range, so basically set the trap for traders. For liquidity in the market, though, as you can see, let me zoom in here a little bit to try to get some more detail here. Please do bear with me. Might need to reset this program. It's got a lot of data on it. Okay, as you can see here, we do have some orders up here right around the VWAP, which is going to be 3330s area right here. That may be where we're heading. We break above 3327. I do expect that we'll get here, and then we might even go up here to the 3340s as far as orders go. But like I mentioned, the big orders, the big heavy areas that we have are 3250, 3200, which are below us. Those are the very heavy liquidity levels for people trying to get into the market. And this should show up here in a minute. Yeah, there we go. As you right here, right under 3280, we have roughly 3,000 orders here for the order book here, and then you get down to 3250, we have 4,000. So I do imagine that if we do get into these ranges and we bust through them, we're going to there'll at least be some nice wicks involved in this. If not, it's continuation to the downside. We're breaking through 3250 right now. That's going to be a big. That's kind of the big deal this morning. If we get there and if we break through it, I would again. 3250 was the area that we were just talking about on high block capital as well, and that creating a new lower low. So if we get to that point, we create that new lower low, I would expect more lower lows. And that's pretty much all I got.
On the low.
Yeah. So that's about all that we have today. And we really appreciate any of the viewers, if we have any that have come out. We do like doing the show. It's really great for us to kind of talk through our strategies for the day. And try to get some knowledge out. We started as average Joes in the trading industry, and we've actually turned something. We've turned this flower, and it's blossoming now. So it's pretty cool.
Get your blossom on.
Yeah. So that's all we have for today. We'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time.